It's your boy, Jeff Jones.
You know who it is. It's the upset specialist, Thomas Boykin.
Our boy Mike Jones is not with us. We have a guest tonight. Our friend Eric is joining us. This is 234 Sports Talk. Let's talk about it, fellas. Let's talk about
Let's
it.
get at it.
All right,
Let's go.
fellas. January 1st is here. Happy New Year to everybody.
Yes, sir.
Hope this is a good and prosperous year for you all. Uh well, the playoffs, the college football playoffs are amongst us right here. In just a few minutes, Michigan and Alabama is about to get it on, fellas. And we know later on Texas and Washington, they'll be getting it on about 7:15, I think it is. Fellas, when we look at these four teams, what's your take on these teams? Let's talk about this Michigan and Alabama game. What do you guys think will take place in that game?
First off, we all know the controversy behind Alabama getting in the first place, which me, myself personally, I don't think they should have got in, but it is what it is. I will say this about Bama. They are peaking at the correct time they're supposed to peak. And that's going to make them hard to beat. However, I do believe Michigan on both sides of the ball is a much more balanced team. Definitely in the passing game, definitely the running game. The defense is not shut down, but it's pretty close. So I think it's going to be a great ball game. I think Michigan wins this game in a tight one. It's going to be a nail biter.
So I've heard a lot of people with the same stance that say that Alabama didn't deserve to be in this game. As you witnessed the other day when Georgia defeated the team that said they should have been in the game 63-3. And the only team that beat Georgia all year was Alabama. I think it's a difficult argument to say that Alabama didn't belong in the top four and wasn't one of the best four teams in the country. A couple of the things I've analyzed and I've looked at it is let's look at the schedules of the teams that they've played. And obviously, they don't have any common opponents. And the Big Ten has got there's a couple of teams at the top that are very strong. Penn State strong, Ohio State obviously strong historically, always. The rest of the Big Ten, not anybody that really puts the fear of God in you. I don't think their schedule was super difficult this year. I know that Alabama lost to Texas, and everybody was all committed this year to the fact that well, Alabama can't get in, and if they do, they have to be behind Texas. I think Alabama has had much more growth over the course of the year than Texas. I mean, we've all talked about Nick Saban being a tremendous coach for 15, 20 years, whether we like it or not. I'm a graduate of the University of Mississippi. I'm not a fan of the University of Alabama, but I know what it looks like when the University of Alabama gets their act together. I think just through coaching and through player development and from kids learning, because that's what kids do, they learn throughout the course of the year. Teams get better. I don't know that with all the chaos and everything around Harbaugh and Michigan and the kid on the sideline and stealing, there was just so many distractions. And with Alabama, the distractions were, are they going to be great again? With Michigan, they were, are they even going to be allowed to make the tournament? Are they going to be able to get in? Is there going to be some legal injunction to keep them out? Now, granted, they used that to rally a couple of times. They used that to rally to beat Ohio State and, beating Iowa in the Big 12 championship game. Iowa hasn't scored 5 points in 10 weeks. We're not worried about Iowa scoring any points.
No.
If I just see what I see on the field, and again, I just have an opinion. I'm not the be all and end all of this discussion, but looking at the size of the Alabama players across the board compared to the size of Michigan players, it's closer than it's been in the past. I looked at a game 10, 15 years ago when Alabama played Notre Dame, and Notre Dame was hyped to go down to Louisiana and compete with Alabama. And just man to man, side by side, they were all 15 to 20 pounds smaller and 2 to 3 inches shorter. Now, if you've got the same amount of equivalent skill on both sides, and you're you're 20 pounds lighter and 2 to 3 inches shorter across the board, it's just not going to work out. I just don't think it's going to work out for Michigan today. Now, I'm not saying Alabama is going to win 63-3. That would be insanity. Nobody would say that. But I think in the fourth quarter, with the way Milroe's been coached up over the last 4 to 5 to 6 weeks, and Nick Saban, who, again, whether we like him or we don't like him, he wins these games all the time. He wins these games. You give him a month to prepare for somebody, he beats you. So historically, I think with Alabama's upward trend and beating Georgia, which is still, it would be foolish to say that Georgia's not one of the top 4 teams in the country after what they just did to Mr. Florida State, saying we need to be national champions if nobody else is undefeated. I just think Alabama's going to come out today with a victory in the 5 or 7 point range.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with a lot that you said. It's true. I still believe that even though Milrose has been, now granted, Milrose got benched, then brought him back, and now that he's gotten better progressively as the season's gone on.
Yes, sir.
McCarthy, on the other hand, has been solid pretty much all year. And the Michigan offensive line has been solid all year pretty much.
Oh, no question. No question.
So Alabama is getting ready to face one of the more skilled offensive lines in the country. No doubt. They're not going to go in and just, okay, we're going to manhandle Michigan. That's not going to happen.
Of course.
It's just not going to happen. This game is going to be basically which quarterback blinks and makes a mistake. Because you're looking at 2 quarterbacks that play the same style. They both can beat you with the legs. They both can beat you with the arms. The only difference that Alabama has a slight edge, that just slight, is wide receiver core that's a little bit faster.
Yep.
They have more guys that can take a top off of defense because of their speed. Whereas Michigan's receivers are fast, but they're not blow off the top fast. But they'll get you 15 to 20, which will move the chains. And that's what you want for the most part.
Oh, sure. I think one of the things, too, I didn't mean to interrupt. I apologize. I think one of the things, too, is that Michigan off the field has faced adversity this year, but on the field hasn't really faced any adversity. For Alabama to pull that over,
really was Ohio State, really.
Right, but I mean, there was never. It wasn't like they were like the Auburn situation, down 4th and 31 and had to make this pass in the back of the end zone, or done
that part.
Exactly. So, and I'm not saying you can learn a ton from that, because that's probably more luck than skill, although Milroe had to throw that ball. But then to recover from the Iron Bowl and then go beat Georgia. But then Michigan had beat Ohio State. And then, let's be honest, beating Iowa in the Big Ten championship game.
That was not a problem.
No, of course it was. Any Penn State, Ohio State, or Michigan, anybody from that other side of the bracket would have walked over Iowa. And Iowa's getting walked over currently right now by Tennessee, a middle-of-the-road SEC team, like 21-0 last time I saw. So Iowa's, I think the Penn State game was tough. The Ohio State game was tough. But what else was tough?
Yeah.
I don't know if they've been tested.
Pretty much.
And for Alabama to go through the conference, I mean, again, I'm not going to sit here and be an SEC homer and play as the greatest conference in history of time, because there's lots of great teams and a lot of great conferences. But what they have proven historically over the course of time, through tough schedules, always, and I hate it because I'm a Clemson fan as well, but they just find a way. You give this guy 35, 40 days, he finds a way to get you. So all your points are valid. I agree with everything you're saying. It's just, I think it's the intangible. I think Harbaugh's going to get out coached by Saban today, and I think Saban's going to be the difference.
I think if anything, the other factor that I'm factoring into this game is you can't take any away from Blake Corum. The guy has a lot of heart at running back for his size and his strength. The guy is not, and he's not afraid of contact in between the tackles.
Exactly.
So that's one thing that you're not going to lose out on. But
right,
I just think these quarterbacks are going to be key. I think Michigan's quarterback is definitely going to be key. He can't afford to make any mistakes.
I think McCarthy's going to have to be even sharper than Milroe.
Yeah.
Milroe could probably throw a pick today and get away with it. McCarthy's not going to be able to throw a pick and get away with it today. The margin is razor thin. If Michigan plays perfect, they'll win. If Alabama plays perfect and Michigan plays kind of perfect, Alabama will win. But Michigan can win this game. Don't get me wrong. Michigan can win this game, but they've got to be perfect. I just don't see it today. But in a few hours, we'll find out. We'll all get to see it together. So.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Most definitely.
Well, fellas, Michigan is favored by 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if Michigan can play a balanced game, that's just my take on things. If they can play a balanced game and just I think just control that clock, man, and pretty much keep that offense off the field, talking about Alabama, I think they got a real good shot. But
Okay.
we'll see what happens. The game got to be played. We can talk all day. The game still got to be played.
That's why I said it's going to be a fun game to watch. That's going to be the nail biter of the day.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. And I
mean,
can't
that's what
wait
makes
to
it
see
great.
this.
That's what makes it great to be able to talk about it, because it is so razor thin. It's not like, Alabama playing Vandy. We're having a discussion about that because they're going to win by 70. There's nothing to talk about. I mean, this is a legit national semifinal, real big boy football game. So it's fun to talk about, fun to speculate. And we're going to, like I said, by the end of the night, we'll know. So,
yep, pretty much.
All right, fellas. The next game, Texas, Washington, later on tonight. They're going to get it on. Fellas, what do you think about this game? What's your predictions for this one?
That's going to be another fun one. This game, and I don't know if you agree with me or not, but this game will not have any defense in it at all. This game will not have any defense in it at all.
It'll be high scoring for sure. So
definitely,
I agree. Yes. I do.
This is going to be who has the ball last and makes the last score. Unless somebody goes to sleep and actually makes a really bad throw or something. But
right.
This is just going to be too offensive, like, you can't stop me. And the other one saying, oh, you can't stop me. We're going down the field as fast as we can go down the field. Yep. But I got Washington winning this game in a shootout. I got Washington winning this game in a shootout.
And I'm with you on that. I have Washington win this game as well. I've watched several of their games all throughout the course of the year. And here's another thing to take into account. They don't lose. Whether it's Arizona State on a bad night, whether it's going to the USC and winning by 10 in a 52-42 shootout, whatever it is, they find a way to win. Everybody knew that Oregon was going to smack them the second time they played them, because Oregon is smacking everybody except Washington. So they got their second shot at them. And Oregon had a game to beat in this playoff. And Washington still beat them.
Yeah.
Michael Penix is just not losing football games.
No.
Texas, granted, they went to Alabama and they had played a hell of a game. They beat Alabama by 10. Tremendous game. And their only loss is to Oklahoma, which is a respectable loss. Nobody can be upset about that. And the Big 12 was okay this year. Wasn't great. Wasn't terrible. I mean, they didn't beat, Murderers Row, but they beat some solid teams. There's some holes in that Texas defense. And there's a couple of holes in that offense as well, too, where I think you're right. I think we're looking at like 45-42. I think we're looking at, Ewers and Penix just having a field day up and down the field, 27-28 halftime, and just going to the second half and just firing away, and whoever has the ball last is going to win. So I've been on Washington for a while, so I'm with you. I think Washington is going to pull it out late tonight here. And it's a West Coast game. It's in the Rose Bowl. And with the Pac-12 being disintegrated, there'll be maybe a little bit more emotion for Washington to pull that game out. I mean, sometimes you're looking at the margins, looking at the edges to see what else matters. Like some of the bowl games this year, like when Boston College had a home bowl game, I had a bowl game in Fenway Park against SMU, and everybody picked SMU, but it's Boston College's home game. So they won the game. Or like when Miami went to Rutgers to play the bowl game in New York City, and Rutgers is in New Jersey, not Yankee Stadium, but they'll defended their turf. And even like one yesterday that I was on, I was really happy that we won. Memphis was in the Liberty Bowl against Iowa State, and everybody's picking Iowa State to win by 10, 12 points, but it's in the Liberty Bowl. Memphis wins games in the Liberty Bowl. They won their home game. They defended their field. Now, I know Pasadena, California is not, Washington, but that's Pac-12 territory. So there's going to be just a little bit more. There'll probably be a little lean in the crowd to Washington. Texas travels, so it's not like they're a regional team. They're going to travel. But I'm 55-45 Washington fans. Feels like there's going to be a good buzz in the air for it. I think they're going to, and they've won every game this year. They got to give somebody credit for not losing any football games. So I'm with you. I think Washington pulls it out tonight.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think the Washington receiver core is going to be a little too much for Texas.
I think so.
They got way too many weapons. They got way too many ways to beat you.
Yes.
And not like Penix can't pull the ball down and run.
Yeah, and it's crazy. A kid from the University of Indiana pops out to Washington, and now he almost wins a Heisman and could win a national championship.
That part.
Transfer portal.
Don't get me wrong. Yours is really good.
Yours is great.
Yours is really good.
Yeah, and Ewers might end up being the better pro, but is he going to be better tonight?
Right,
is what matters for us.
That's the question.
I just
The other
I
the
think
other
Penix
thing
has
that's
got
going
it.
to help that's going to help Texas out, and this got to happen for them to win. They got to have a ground game.
Mm-hmm.
Got to, got to.
And
They got to
Washington's
be
been
able.
pretty
They got to
decent.
find a way. They have to find a way to keep Penix from getting on the field and staying on the field.
Yeah. Yeah, they got to control the clock. They got to have a little bit more than half the clock for sure. If they can do that, if they can have 35 minutes versus 25 minutes, then they have more of a chance. But if the time is split anywhere near even 30-30 and Penix has got 30 minutes to throw football around, he's just going to win the game tonight. He just is.
Yeah, and
Yep.
that's how I
I
see
agree.
it. That's
Yep, I
just
do
how I
too.
see it. They're too talented not to. You can't get in the
Yes,
shootout with them. They're too talented.
I agree. And I look forward to that game tonight too.
Absolutely. Pizza and wings on that one, Jack.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right, fellas. I think we got two good games lined up, and I think Washington wins this one. I think Washington wins
Okay.
this one. All right,
Great.
fellas. Let's talk a little NFL. Let's talk some
Yeah.
NFL. Now you know the other night, Lions and Cowboys got it on. Cowboys won 20-19, and without controversy. Well, it wasn't without controversy. Let me correct myself, fellas. As you looked at that game, and we all know about the controversial call where the Lions, he actually he declared himself eligible, but they said that he wasn't eligible. Fellas, what's your take on this?
There was a lot of calls before that play even happened that Dallas got away with that changed the outcome of that game. There was a deep ball, I think it was to Amon Ra down the middle where
St.
they should
Brown.
have called PI. The dude held him
Mm-hmm.
by the jersey the whole time he made his move. I'm like, that's not PI. Come on. But but in the grand scheme of things, at the end, we saw on the video both of these guys go to the referee report to report that whatever, if they report they're eligible, whatever. But they went to the referee reported. Bottom line, you got beat on a play that you knew was coming, even though they didn't announce it. Dude, if you see that guy lined up in the slot, you already know it's a trick play. You know it's a trick play.
Right.
So I mean,
Yeah,
it's just unbelievable. But bottom line, they got robbed out of the 2-point conversion. They actually win this game on this 2-point conversion. They win this game, but they take it from them. Me coaching, being the remote control TV coach, after the penalty, and we back it up 7 yards, I'm giving my team a shot with overtime. Me personally, I'm giving my team a shot at overtime because I'm riding momentum. I just went down the field in 35 seconds to put my team in that position, which means their defense is real and they don't know how to handle me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take my chance in overtime. If once that play doesn't go through, I take my chance in overtime. But hats off to their wide receiver. Oh my God, they could do nothing to stop him. They could do nothing to stop this guy.
Yeah. 200 some odd yards, I think it was.
I think 16 catches for like 225, 230.
Yeah, just an incredible day for him.
I'm
And
like,
still,
CD, I'm like, there's no answer. They have no answer for CD. They have no answer for CD.
and there's one thing to think about now as well, too. So the guy had CeeDee Lamb at 16 catches, 200 some odd yards, and they only scored 20 points. It's something to keep in the back of your mind.
That part.
Something to keep in the back of your mind. Yeah. But yeah, we all saw the same thing. Both those offensive linemen went to the referee. I don't know what they said. We weren't in there. We don't know what they said. But obviously, you would think if Dan Campbell said go in and report, why would they not do that? Right? There's no reason to not do what your coach just said. And then they run the 2-point conversion and he catches the ball. Okay. Now, we're not going to get off on a tangent here, but you could start talking conspiracies and cowboy stuff and all this nonsense because nobody can prove what was said in that little huddle right there.
Exactly.
So I'm not going to start accusing the NFL of anything and want the Cowboys to be in first place. But now they are in first place and they're the second seed. And if they lost that game, they'd be in fifth place in a wild card team and have no home games. Again, I'm not piecing it all together. I'm not the guy with 5 diagrams on the wall saying this bullet did this and all this kind of stuff. But sometimes competent individuals like ourselves, 1+1 equals 2. Okay, it just does. If you didn't want them, now then Dan Campbell, as you said, threw a little bit of a fit and said, we're still going for 2. I don't care. Okay, and not the smartest play. And then they got a penalty, so they got up 7 yards to 4. So it ended up being a 4-yard try instead of 7. But still, you're right. Kick the extra point, go to overtime, keep fighting, see what happens, because you just ran down the field on them in like 12 seconds. It didn't take any time to get down there. So Campbell was in his feelings. He was upset about it. He didn't react probably as you'd want him to react. Like we talked earlier, or like Kyle Shanahan or Coach Tomlin would have taken a breath, like, all right, let's do the smart thing here. We can do it from 2 yards, and we just did it. But now they're going to know that play's coming. We have to have another play. Are we ready for the next play? We kick the extra point. We move on. Go to overtime. If it was just that easy to get down the field, we'll do it again. And again, the Cowboys have a receiver with 216 yards today and 20 points. They're not scoring any touchdowns off these yards right now. So you take your chances. But again, it didn't happen. At the end of the day, that puts the Cowboys in position to be the 2 seed and have home playoff games. The Lions are always going to be the 3 seed. There's no way they were going to be 1 seed or another. So it didn't really hurt them one way or another. But it really helped the Cowboys, and it really helped the national television audience. So if you wanted to be conspiratorial, you could say, hey, wait a minute. At the end of the day, Philly did this to themselves as well, too, because they threw up on their shoes yesterday by losing to the Cardinals. Because Philly didn't have to lose. So Philly did lose as well. So it's all going to work out in the end for the Cowboys in this scenario, but we all saw that it shouldn't have.
Right.
But we weren't in the scrum, we weren't in the huddle, we didn't hear it. So we just have to accept what's happened and move on. So
pretty much. And speaking of them, I don't know what happened to them. I don't know. They look like world beaters, and then all of a sudden, these last 4 games, Phillies look like, okay, we can lose. I don't care.
And they have the same. Yeah, they're not suffering.
I'm scratching my head. Like, you just were the Super Bowl runners-up last year, and you're putting yourself in position to be in the same thing again, but you're not playing.
And they were.
I don't understand the philosophy.
I mean, they were 10-1 too. It's not like they came into this year like 500. They were 10-1.
Exactly.
And and San Francisco went in there and got them, and then they've had some losses since then. But I mean, Sirianni, gather yourself, figure it out. I mean, you still have the same talent. Jalen Hurts isn't injured. I mean, the receivers aren't injured. Kelsey's still hiking the football. I mean, you still got the same people. Figure it out. I mean, that's what they pay you $8 to $10 million a year for. Figure it out.
Exactly. And you can't just line up and think every game you're just going to outpower everybody. San Francisco showed you that's not happening.
Exactly. So yeah, come up with a plan B.
Exactly.
That's where the great coaches have a plan B and a plan C. If this ain't working today, we're going to beat you differently.
Yeah, we got to multiple game plans. If this is not working, we got to go another way.
Yeah, got to figure it out.
Yeah,
but
I mean, even Philly with the Dallas games, they like, well, Dallas didn't do nothing spectacular to beat Philly.
No, they didn't
do anything.
Philly gave it to
a lot of that game, Philly beat Philly.
Exactly. That's what they've been doing for weeks now. They're falling off the map. And so if that's what happens, that's what happens, I guess. But Sirianni should be able to figure it out. You know what I mean? If you're getting paid that much,
yes.
I mean, with your guys, with Pittsburgh, with Tomlin, he doesn't always win the Super Bowl, but he never has a losing season. He always figures it out somehow. You're in the mix every year until the last week or two, or you're already in every single year, 17 years in a row. You know you have a chance.
Exactly.
And I don't know if Sirianni is the same guy. I don't know if he can figure it out. So we'll find out.
Yeah, well, I'd hate to see him come this far to not get in the playoffs.
Well, they're in. They can't. Yeah, no, the Eagles are in. They can't be out. But still, I mean, they fall to a 5 seed, and then they got to go play. They're going to have to go play
all
Tampa.
road games.
All road games, and going to play a playoff game in Tampa could be tricky. And then you either got to go to Detroit or Dallas, and if you get through either one of those, then you got to go through San Francisco. Good luck to you.
I've only seen one road team.
You took the words out of my mouth. Good luck.
Look, I've only seen one road team do that through the playoffs. I've only seen one team do that when play every game in the playoffs on the road and win the Super Bowl. I've only seen one do it.
Yep.
Only one.
Mm-hmm. It's not easy to do.
No.
It's not easy. Not easy to do.
That's like playing in a basketball tournament, a double elimination basketball tournament, and going to the losers bracket.
Yeah, right off the bat. And then you got to win every game to get out of the console. Yep. Not easy to do.
No.
Especially when they had just snuck in at 11-6, but I mean they were 10-1. They had everything under control, and now they don't. So I'm not going to weep any tears for Philadelphia. They just have to figure it out if they can.
I don't think Dallas is either.
No, Dallas ain't losing.
Yeah, but they're definitely not.
Dallas is definitely not losing any sleep behind all this. They're the benefactor of all this.
Yep, guarantee.
The problem is, can they run the table, or can they take advantage of what they have? I don't see them winning this thing. Not on the NFC side.
You don't? Okay.
No, I don't see them winning this in the NFC side. No. Especially if they got to go
I'm a Niners backer.
Definitely no.
Yeah, I'm a San Francisco backer, so I'm going to have to agree with that sentiment. I hope that we can get it pulled out, but playoffs are tricky. Well, somebody like Tampa end up winning the whole thing. You never know. Playoffs. I mean,
yeah,
it's crazy.
Is why they play. This is exactly why they play.
Yep. The Super Bowl end up being the Lions and the Browns, and we think we know everything. So
that part. Right. And it'd be stupid.
I know.
You know what? I would be cool with that Super Bowl too.
It'd be fun. I'd be upset we weren't in it, but it'd be fun Super Bowl, I think. So,
man, you talking about what's cool about that is you're talking about two teams that have really never won a Super Bowl.
Nothing. I don't think they've ever been to a Super Bowl, either one of them. So that'd be interesting. I didn't just kind of pick off the top of my head. That'd be interesting. Let's wait a few years for that, though.
Yeah, not so much now.
Yeah, not now. You can do that later.
Well, fellas, since we still sticking with the NFL theme, let me ask you guys this question. This will be our last topic.
All right.
Who do you think is the most dangerous team right now in the NFL? Who do you think is the scariest team? I mean, nobody really wants to see this team right now. Who do you think is that team?
To be honest with you, like we was having this discussion, everybody's thinking, oh, Baltimore just showed you they just beat San Francisco. Guess what? So did Cleveland. And right now, Cleveland is riding a whole lot of momentum. Yeah. And their defense is not nothing you can sleep on. All they needed was an offensive joke. The team you don't want to see right now in the AFC is the Cleveland Browns. You're not trying to see them right now.
Okay. I personally, because that Monday Night Football game hurt so bad, and then I watched what they absolutely did to the Dolphins. I know you're not as high on the Ravens as I am, but boy, I'm not. I don't really want to see them right now, to be honest with you.
Oh, no. I'm a Niners fan. Don't get it twisted. Look, don't get it twisted. Baltimore is not nobody you want to see either.
Yeah, I watched how we were on such a hot streak coming into that game against them, and that we couldn't do anything with them, and we had all of our people. That made me nervous that if we see them again, we've really got to get some coaching together and figure it out. Another team, I think the Buffalo Bills are somebody to be worried about. I mean, they were on death's door. They said they're not getting in. They were 6-6, and everybody said they were done. They're not going to make the playoffs. Now they're going to win the division. And then you're going to have to go up there to play a playoff game. And playing a playoff game in Buffalo, as we all know, in the middle, they're going to make it to the next round. Okay? And then you're looking at the playoff teams. Jacksonville's still around. Kansas City's cold weather. Baltimore's cold weather. And Buffalo's cold weather. So Buffalo's not going to be afraid to go into Baltimore. And they're not going to be afraid to go into Kansas City. And that one game would have been like 350 to 349 if there was no damn overtime rules. They would have went with Kansas City forever. And they've been in Kansas City this year, and they beat them. I just don't see anybody in the NFC. Again, Niners fan, full forward. And the Niners, I mean, we all agree the Niners are tough. I don't see anybody in the NFC that I'm scared of. Not scared. I mean, not only because we played the Eagles and we hammered them, we played the Cowboys and we hammered them. I'm not afraid of Detroit. I mean, we play the Rams next week, but we historically beat the Rams, 10 out of 11 times. There's just not anybody in the NFC I'm scared of. If I had to look down a Super Bowl and they said, who are you worried about? It would be San Francisco and Baltimore or San Francisco and Buffalo. Those would be the games that I would be like, crap, we got a problem. So,
well, the problem I see with Buffalo is it all depends on which quarterback you get with them.
Well, you've got the right one for 4 weeks in a row, though.
for 4 weeks.
That's the thing about him, though. If you keep getting the right one, then
Oh,
he's
yeah.
as good as anybody there is.
Oh yeah, he's gonna make some plays.
Yeah,
But I
and when they
just
were
don't
6-6,
see.
everybody
I
said they
don't.
were.
I see them beating Miami. They played Miami earlier this season and they absolutely manhandled Miami.
Agreed. I think they're going to beat Miami.
They absolutely manhandled Miami.
Yep. No, I think they're going to beat Miami next weekend.
Yeah, and I still think they'll manhandle Miami. That blueprint's not going to change.
Yeah, I think Miami's going to fall to the 5 or 6 seed, and
yeah,
they'll be out pretty quick. So.
The problem is that you can't give Tua big windows. If you give Tua small windows, there's no way he can function, and they don't give him big windows.
Right. Yeah, with all the time in the world, Tua will pick you to pieces back there.
Oh yeah, without question.
Yeah,
without question.
Yeah, Buffalo puts a lot of pressure on him,
especially with the speed they have outside. You can't give him any windows.
Exactly. Yeah, because if you let enough time for Tyreek Hill to get past everybody or Jalen Waddle to get past everybody, then those are touchdowns. You can throw them the ball, so you can't catch those guys. So, yeah, if you get them throwing slants and 10, 15-yard passes that have, coverage on them, you can maneuver it. But, I mean, if Tyreek's running straight up the sideline and he's 5 yards past you, sorry, touchdown, game over.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. All you got to do is get it out there.
Exactly, and he can. He's got the arm to do it. So,
without question.
Yeah, but Buffalo's going to put a lot of pressure on him. So, I think Buffalo's going to get him. I think Dolphins are going to fall to like a 6. I guess that'll put – Buffalo is either the 2 or the 3. I don't know where Kansas City's going to be. It's Kansas City, Buffalo, either be the 2 or the 3. But I mean, if they're the 2, they're at home until they got to go to Baltimore, or unless somebody beats Baltimore, they get 2 home games.
That's going to suck going to Baltimore.
Yeah, I know.
That's going to suck.
Yeah, there's no guarantees there. But I mean, if they make the AFC Championship game after being 6-6, that's a good bounce back. So.
Oh yeah, I didn't see them. I didn't see them getting the 10 wins at all this season at all.
No, I didn't. Not when they hit 6-6. I didn't. Schedule was too hard.
I didn't see that one at all coming. It's like, really, 6-6, and y'all supposed to be the AFC Slayers? Yeah, no.
Yep, I know. And at the end of it, they're gonna end up finishing right where they should have finished. So.
And that's due to like I said, Miami's been playing solid all year, but they haven't played your high caliber IQ teams like well, they did with the Cowboys, but teams like Buffalo and those guys and Baltimore that's going to absolutely man-to-man you, give you small windows and play physical football.
I mean, you saw what Baltimore just did to them.
Yeah.
I mean, they beat them by 40. So, I mean, yeah. So
they put up 50 on them, which I wasn't expecting. I'm like, 50? God, whoa.
And that was that's what made me start worrying about Baltimore some more. I'm like, okay, now they're putting 56 on Miami. This is not ideal. So, but
they're taking, as we've been saying on the show, they took the track meet to the track meet.
They did. Yes, they did. They absolutely did. You're right, my friend.
Well, guys, I'll tell you that those are some good teams you guys just mentioned there. Yeah, there's some scary teams if they're on their game, but we'll see what happens. NFL, a team can be hot and then not. You never know.
Yes, sir.
It's just a matter of who's hot at the right time. All right, fellas, we've talked about it. Till the next time, it's been 234 Sports Talk. Want to thank Eric for joining us today.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You can catch us right here on YouTube. You can catch us on X. You can catch us on TikTok. You can catch us on Instagram. Till the next time, fellas, we are out. Peace.
Peace.
Happy New Year's, guys.
Yep. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's to you guys as well. Thank you very much.